Welcome boys and girls, Costin here with a discussion about Elspeth von Draken in Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires and why her campaign is so awesome in the game. Don't get me wrong, I do love Karl Francis's campaign in a lot of different ways. It's dynamic, it offers you a bunch of different choices, and in terms of building an empire, he is really good at it. But if you want something more direct, something that gets the job done, then Elspeth is really the one for the job. So I want to cover in this video the reasons why she is so freaking great. Honestly, the first reason is she's not limited in her campaign in the same way everyone else is limited in theirs. See, Gelt starts in Cafe. Karl Franz has to deal with limitations of the Electrocount system, so his campaign takes a while to get going. Whereas Elspeth, she just gets things done very quickly. She takes control over the entire Wisland province. She may not have as much growth as Karl, but she'll gain control over it, and then she'll start pushing for things to happen over here. And the possibilities of what you can do in this campaign are pretty significant. One path I like to go for is take over Saarland and sell it to Averheim. So that way, Averheim is going to be building up this province to a higher level. They're gonna spend the money to do so while you're out there going and getting things done. And the natural expansion path, really, can see you get to Sylvania within a dozen or so turns and defeating Vlad on the battlefield. That is a real strength that Elspeth has. I mean, sure, this result might seem a bit ridiculous, call it what it is, but ultimately, this is the real capability she has available in her campaign. And it is not the small thing either, when you consider the implications therein. Because this ability of going around the campaign map, doing things like this, defeating Vlad, well, suddenly, half the Empire, just by defeating Vlad, has been secured against anyone that might stand in your path. And again, that is no small feat. It's actually something that a lot of campaigns would want to achieve, but don't do so, because in eliminating Vlad, you are able to secure essentially this entire area of the Empire. And that is a pretty big deal. So that's reason number one, just the clear, direct path that she has in her campaign. But it doesn't end there, because she has a lot more things that she has available to her in a campaign than one might think. Second reason is she's really good at fighting the undead, because we can talk about the potential of defeating Vlad. Karl Franz can defeat Vlad. Not to say that it would be the easiest thing in the world, but Elspeth is dedicated against the undead. She has immunity to vampire corruption in her entire army, and she gets Darkwalker, which gives her physical resistance, and Strider, which means she's actually pretty decent in melee, even though she doesn't have a melee skill line. Well, anyone that rides a freaking dragon as a mount is probably going to be pretty damn decent in melee. And when you add on top of that 2 hero capacity for engineers, faction-wide, reducing battle healing cap, all the abilities she has, regeneration, casualty replenishment for her entire army, magic, it makes her really good at dealing with the undead. And this is how very quickly, very early on, you can just annihilate Vlad in a battle. In fact, this is the thing that I've seen over and over again when I fought an Elspeth campaign. The difficulty in dealing with Vlad is just fighting that initial battle that you have. He likely will attack you, but if you win that, and you will definitely be able to win that, then everything falls into place. And here's another thing to mention. Her army, she starts with Grand Cannons and Hellstorm rocket batteries, as well as gunnery units. Normally, this would be a problem in a siege, but if I had fought this battle manually, I would have decimated the defenders, maybe even taken fewer casualties or no casualties whatsoever. It depends on the layout of a settlement. Simply because the artillery deals with any wall towers, the Hellstorms deal damage to units behind the walls, and you can use the gunnery units to do a lot of damage. And she's really good with gunnery units. So number 2 is she's personally really good against the undead, and she's really good at leading an army of gunnery units, which is her focus. this brings me to number 3, the Imperial Gunnery School. This is where things get a bit ridiculous, because the capabilities here, missile strength, ammunition, reload time reduction, all these kind of benefits like monstrous impact attacks, reduce speed and charge for enemies, all these kind of benefits for Pistolier, Outriders, and even War Wagons. I know, War Wagons are kind of a joke of a unit, but they're not so much of a joke when you give them these kind of benefits in a campaign. It ends up being pretty ridiculous. And the fact that the Imperial Gunnery School gives you all kinds of benefits, including money and schematics for units, makes it that much more useful to play around with. And that's just the default version. Once you unlock the Amethyst armory, it gets even more ridiculous, but just the baseline unit upgrades that you have on a faction-wide level means that all the gunnery units that you do have will perform that much better in a campaign than they otherwise would. And that is no small feat, really, and should not be dismissed as something irrelevant compared to the capability that they give you. Pretty big deal, actually, as far as I'm concerned, because with this kind of army, the stacking benefits, it's like Ikka but even better than Ikka in some ways. You don't have a nuclear weapon, but at the same time, you are buffing so many units, and crucially, you're buffing gunpowder chariot units, which is kind of hilarious. Want to know why Kislev does so well in multiplayer? It's because of their sleds. You can get war wagons that can be not quite as good as the sleds, but certainly comparable enough. Not leadership-wise, but the damage capability. And then we have Pistoliers, Outriders. The sheer level of capability in terms of an army is astounding. But wait, there is more in her campaign to go along with. So those are some free reasons. But reason number 4 actually has to do with the Gardens of Morr mechanic. There's a large number of things to talk about in regards to the Gardens of Morr. But here's the thing. Every time you set up a Garden of Morr, you can fast travel to it, even if you do not have any movement range whatsoever. So for instance, over here, I was in Sylvania. I shouldn't have left, for the record. That's not an ideal outcome there. But I can go from one end of the Empire to another as long as I have a Garden of Morr, and I can teleport Elspeth with a 5-turn cooldown. This means that, and you can have these Gardens of Morr under your own territory. That's a pretty big deal, because it means that if an AI faction is showing up uninvited to attack you, things are going to get really nasty real quick for them to try and defeat you. And that is no small thing. This was just a demonstration. I wouldn't have done it. Karl Franz seems that he has a handle on Festus right here, even though his army is kind of like very questionable. But that is a pretty big deal. It's also especially a big deal because you can also use that Garden of Morr teleportation mechanic to actually teleport to Imperial factions and then declare war on them and take their territory. So Elspeth has something that very few legendary lords have. Actual strategic mobility around the campaign map as long as she has vision with Imperial factions. And here's the thing about that vision. The Empire, especially Reichland and Marienburg, are destinations for cafe and caravans. So you can possibly make an alliance with Xiao Ming and then get vision and teleport on Gelt to either help him out or destroy him, get his defeat trait, but maybe just get a confederation with him. While Karl Franz has a guaranteed confederation system in his campaign, Elspeth has strategic mobility, which is a pretty big damn deal. So that kind of strategic mobility is another reason why she is awesome. Like, the implications therein, like being able to defend territory and also go around the map and confederate Imperial factions. And I'm talking about all of them. Like, you could send heroes far in a field to deal with things. And on top of that, we could also talk about the fact that she has all the Electrocount State Troopers that she unlocks for money. Gelt is better at this because he literally prints money, but Elspeth can and will have a significant level of income herself. But here's the final reason. And I know that I haven't done a proper count on it, but here's the final reason. These Gardens of Morr can be used for unit recruitment and all kinds of different benefits, but one of the more ridiculous benefits that they have is not in unit recruitment, not in Knights of Morr Electric Count State Troops, but in the ability of increasing hero capacity for battle wizards and allowing you to recruit Amethyst wizards. Here's the kicker though. While they only allow you to recruit Amethyst wizards, each Garden of Morr still increases hero capacity for each wizard type. So you can recruit any wizard type that you want with the Garden of Morr. Basically, one of the things you want to do in Nuln is actually set up a Wizard's Conclave, because that will allow you to recruit all the types of battle wizards, and suddenly you're in the situation where you can make an entire hero stack, doom stack, of wizards in your campaign. While one will argue that they're not going to be as good as Gelt, the sheer number that you have will be still pretty ridiculous. And they're actually kind of a bit better than Gelt in some ways. See, Gelt's capability with wizards is more about the campaign buffs that he gets from various wizards, the Cataclysm spells, as well as, healing an entire army, giving an army stock stance and all that. Elspeth's capability with wizard comes from a different area. She can get as many mages as Gelt can, realistically speaking. Like, you don't want to just spam endless wizards as Gelt, and you probably won't be able to anyway. But the sheer number of heroes she has, because she will actually build a territory. She starts with a tier 2 settlement, a provincial capital. She builds it properly, unlike Gelt, who kind of like just gives up his territory or stays in Cathay, and that's not as good. But the crazy thing is, where it gets ridiculous in a campaign, and this is the final point, is what she does with Amethyst Hellstorm rocket batteries. See, you have regular rocket batteries, but then you have Amethyst Hellstorm rocket batteries. Now, these are a bit better than regular Hellstorm rocket batteries, and through the Imperial Gunnery School, the Amethyst Armory, which is locked over here. But through this, you can actually upgrade them even further. So you get the baseline upgrades and the extra ones for Amethyst ones especially. But here's where it gets crazy. The one upgrade you actually have for Amethyst Hellstorm rocket batteries allows you to replenish Winds of Magic in battle. So you already have ridiculously powerful artillery by default. You get special artillery in her campaign, all of the units over here, all the gunnery units here that you can acquire, right? And especially the Amethyst Hellstorm rocket batteries. And then you replenish Winds of Magic. And suffice to say, you can have entire armies that look like, just bring me as many mages as you can, stack them up with, stack those mages up, and get a couple of Hellstorm rocket batteries, infinite Winds of Magic, and a ridiculous amount of artillery power. And since she has more engineers than anyone else, then you can also improve triangulation and get more missile strength, as well as several other benefits as well here, like Master of Ballistics and all that kind of stuff. This is why Elspeth von Draken is such an awesome legendary lord in Total War Warhammer 3. There's of course a couple of reasons on top of that. I would dare say that Gelt does better in the climate perspective, undeniably so, but in terms of sheer campaign ridiculousness and awesomeness, Elspeth hands down wins. It's not necessarily my favorite campaign. I do prefer the dynamics of Karl Franz, but I would definitely recommend to play Elspeth's campaign. It can be quite a journey, and honestly, Thrones of Decay is just a DLC that, even though it has been 2 years since it's come out, still delivers in terms of quality. Minus perhaps the situation with Nurgle, that could have been handled better, but you do have 2 very awesome campaigns as a result of it. And while she's not as good as Malachi, she in her own way does an amazing job to provide a really great campaign experience. That's all I had to say. Costin signing out, and I'll see you boys and girls next time. If you have any campaign that you think I should cover in a future video, please let me know in the comment section below. Stay tuned.